Hi, I'm Ingemar Hunnings. I'm the lead consultant at Hunnings Consultancy, HCL, and I'm doing a little video now to talk about SQE2 exemption applications. So you can apply for an exemption from the SQE2 exam if you're already qualified as a lawyer in some jurisdiction. The SQE2 is one of the two exams that you need to sit to qualify as a solicitor of England and Wales through the SQE route. So, assuming that you are qualified, then what do you need to do? You will need to fill in an application form to be submitted to the SRA and pay them their fee, which currently is £265. Now, some jurisdictions already have an agreed exemption, the SRA having looked at your qualification process and have decided that that is equivalent. And so the process is much more simple for you. The application form, then you'll need to fill in sections 1 and 2, at 3, and then 4A from memory. 4A is where you're saying that you have an agreed exemption. And there's no point saying you've got an agreed exemption if you don't. You need to look at the SRA website or other resources to double check what the current situation is for those agreed exemptions. Now, if you don't have an agreed exemption, don't panic. You can make an individual application, and most applications are individual applications. We've helped many people with these, and some people actually tell us when they've been granted the exemption. So I do know that we've been successful with some. If you are making an application for individual exemption, then you'll need to fill in the SRA form. You need to pay their fee, but you'll also need to have a minimum required legal work experience period, which usually comes to 2 years, some of which could be prior to qualification if it is a mandatory part of your qualification. So actually your qualification proves that you've done that. And then the remaining bit would be afterwards. So let's say 6 months beforehand and 18 months after qualification. Some people get confused with qualifying work experience. Now, qualifying work experience is a specific term that the SRA uses with regard to people who are not yet qualified as lawyers. Okay? You're exempt from the qualifying work experience requirement because you're a qualified lawyer. But they do need you to be able to prove to them in support of your application for exemption from the SQE2 exam that you have the required period of legal work experience. Okay? And remember, with your applications for exemption from the SQE2, the SRA default is sit and pass the exam. Now, you cannot apply for exemption from the SQE2 exam if you have sat but failed the SQE2. Your failure of that exam effectively proves that you need to sit and pass it. Okay. So if you're making an application for individual exemption, you'll need to be submitting the application form, their fee, a letter of reference from your referee or referees who directly supervised your legal work experience, proof of your qualification, which could be a certificate of suitability or some other proof, like certificate of admission, something like that, and proof of the qualification of your referee or referees, if they are qualified lawyers. They don't have to be, but if they're not qualified lawyers, then they need to be explaining in their letter of reference how they were suitable to be supervising your legal work. And most likely you're going to be drafting the letter of reference for your referees, and there are specific things the SRA has listed that they want to be included in that letter of reference. We help people through this application process, and we give guidance on this. We can send you a template for the letter of reference. We can review your draft, etc. Specifically, we don't help people with applications for exemption from the SQE1. We don't help people who need to fill in section 8 of the application form. If you're applying for an exemption from SQE2 as an individual exemption, you'll be filling in sections 1, 2, 3, and 4B and 7 of the form. If you have to fill in section 8, which we don't help with, that's because either you don't have the required minimum period of legal work experience, or your qualification does not grant you the same rights to practice as qualification as an English or Welsh solicitor. And so in section 2 of the form, those are listed. And if you can't tick all of those as being practice areas that your qualification gives you the right to practice, then that's when you're having to fill in section 8. As I said, we don't help with that. We can give an information sheet. But if you have to fill in section 8, it's a big job, because then you have to put together a detailed dossier of how you argue that the experience that you have means that you meet all the requirements that the SRA requires. So it may be that you're qualified as a in one particular area, just with doing conveyancing, or just with doing X or Y or Z. And so, or you don't have the rights to practice in criminal courts through your qualification. And then that would mean that because of section 8, you'll have to fit a lot of data mapped carefully to the competencies they've listed. A lot of information will need to be submitted, and it will need to be cross-referenced in the letter of reference which your referee would sign. So a big job there. Sorry, we don't help with that. We do help with the SQE2 exemption, individual exemption applications, which don't involve that. And I should mention that we do, which is covered in another video, help people who are not qualified as lawyers, who do need to have qualifying work experience confirmed to the SRA, and who don't have anyone in their organisation who can do that confirmation to the SRA. Anyway, I hope that's of help. It's unravelled some of the mysteries there, and I wish you all the best.